Hello there.
What are
You reading
doing?
this?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Let me ask you a couple of questions, make it easier
ask
for
me
you.
some questions.
So, what do you think of animals in general? Do you like them, love them,
I
ambivalent?
absolutely adore animals.
Okay, I'm the same. What do you think of people who abuse animals or animal abuse?
I think that the whole world is deeply in denial about the treatment of animals, and I grew up on a farm, so there's I suppose a particular mentality to that, but I think that there are certain people that don't actually care about animals, and that's fair enough if that's how they feel. I think what bothers me is that people love animals and yet still turn a blind eye to the mistreatment of animals, and that infuriates me almost to the point of apathy.
Me the same. That's why I'm standing here right now, trying to do something about it. When we talk about abuse of animals, so are you solely talking about, like, say somebody was kicking a dog, or like Kurt Zuma in the summertime, the footballer kicking his cat and posting it on social media? Is that what you're referring to, or do you include anything else in that? I'm not trying to catch you out, by the way.
No, I think the consumption of animals is animal cruelty, and
Are you vegan? I might as well ask you just straight up now, or no, and no judgment with it, by the
honest,
way.
I was, and I grew tired of it. Do you know, I grew tired of the effort that it took to be vegan, and kind of the rest of the world just continuing, and the industry's still continuing to thrive. You know, I kind of grew apathetic because of the effort I was putting in to... Oh fuck, I'm being filmed, I didn't even realise.
It's on the sound. I'm not using it. If you want me to delete it, I can delete it.
But to the effort that I was putting in to be vegan, and then...
When you say effort, how long ago, and when you say effort, what... when you say trying to find products?
I was vegan for years, and I did find that I've had a history of eating disorders as well, so I was hungry. I found it hard to get enough protein, and not enough protein, but like enough, like to be full enough. Sorry, I didn't realise this was filmed. I know you said
okay.
YouTube channel, but I so now I'm like,
don't let it throw you off. I mean, I'm not here to catch people out, and I'm not here to judge people.
Oh no, it's not even that.
I haven't always been vegan. Obviously, I have been for about 10 years now, fully vegan. Although I was, long before that, I was eating plant-based and stuff. I was just unaware of what happens in the industries. You'll be fully aware. What sort of farm did you grow up on?
It's a beef and dairy farm, you know, and crops as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll know. I need to throw out there, I'm an animal rights activist as well, but I don't hate farmers anymore. I don't hate anybody. If you ask me who was to blame about the whole thing, it's probably consumer, because a farmer will just produce what a consumer buys.
Yeah.
But you'll know the things. Even I wouldn't say that farmers are deliberately bad to animals, but it's a profit-driven industry, number one, and number two, for me, the things that happen in the industries are standard practice. Are abuse for me.
Yeah.
Like, so forcibly impregnating cows and taking their children away from them.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
That's terrible. And you'll know, if you were in a dairy farm, you'll know the mother cows would cry for days and maybe weeks on end.
Yeah.
You know, that's terrible. Like, maternal instinct's not just for human beings. So even that for me is terrible. Never mind what happens to the boy calves.
And there's the whole thing about humans are born like lactose intolerant, and we have to develop this tolerance to it.
Well, we actually produce a chemical called, I think it's lactase, when you're breastfeeding from your mum. But once you stop breastfeeding, you should stop producing that, and then you won't be lactose intolerant, or you'll be lactose intolerant. But because the people immediately go, okay, you're not drinking milk from your mum anymore, here's another animal's milk. Most people never get to that. So that's what happens there. You know, we shouldn't be drinking milk of another animal. We have no need to. I mean, if adult humans were to drink human milk, people would consider it disgusting, but somehow we think that drinking milk from another animal that's for a baby calf is completely normal. That's how normalised it's become. It's weird that way, for sure. So I mean, I guess the eating disorder, I mean, I get that.
It's just that when you have an eating disorder, you have a hyper focus on food.
I don't.
And then when I was vegan, it aggravated my hyper focus on food, and eventually I just was like, I have to just kind of, something has to give, I suppose, and I couldn't really have both.
So I guess from my point of view, I know people who are vegan and have suffered terribly from eating disorders. They're actually vegan because I think they're trying to control what they eat. Whereas for me, you should be vegan because of the ethics of it and because you don't want to harm animals. For me right now, when I first went vegan, I hadn't a clue what to eat. I was like everybody else, what the hell do I eat? You have to spend time building up a certain amount of knowledge and stuff on what to eat and what to consume. And nowadays, the supermarkets, like right now, Tesco's and Sainsbury's and Asda and all these supermarkets, they're full of vegan
I know
food.
they are, yeah.
Like anything you can eat as a non-vegan, I can eat as a vegan, from lasagna, pizza.
I think it's
everything.
just that, so if I'm in like a group situation and somebody's prepared a meal that isn't vegan, I'm not really helping anybody by refusing to eat that meal, because the industry has still been funded, and do you know what I mean? I don't feel that I'm really helping by being really strict. Like I still would mostly eat vegan. I haven't eaten any animal products today, but I don't think that being really fundamentalist, I suppose, about it is necessarily helpful. I think that going in like a positive direction in terms of decreasing your animal products is a lot more accessible to people, and that, you know, if people felt more welcomed into that community, there might be more people that would reduce their consumption of animal products, rather than creating this kind of disparity between the people that, you know, support veganism and the people that are almost anti-veganism. Do you know what I mean?
There is a big divide. I talk to everybody out here, from farmers to, in fact, I spoke to a guy who worked on a dairy farm here 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he's now gone vegan and given up his job on a dairy farm because he didn't see the cruelty was right in front of him. I would be what you call fundamental.
Okay.
And that's okay, we can disagree. Like I'm not, as like I say, I'm not here to judge anybody. Like I paid for it myself, but the way I see it is, when I pay for or consume an animal product, somebody has suffered terribly for that choice for me. Like if I eat pork, a baby pig's been thrown into a gas chamber, because that's how we kill them here.
I know, but
You know, if I eat eggs, then baby meal. I know the industry's still going. It's still there.
And I know that the demand dictates the supply, but when you're at somebody's house for dinner, you're not making any impact on the supply. Maybe you're making a statement that, and the more people that make that statement, there will be more vegan options available. And I do understand that argument, but just for me, it's just everybody has to pick what works for them. And like I just tell them
up front, if I'm coming to your house, I'm eating vegan, and if you're not making me something vegan, then I'll just bring something along myself. For me, that's not much trouble, and then nobody has to suffer for me to eat. That's how fundamentally how I see it. That if I consume the product or wear their skin or any of those things, then animals are suffering at my behest, and I'm not cool with that. It's like
I
individual.
Respect that. I do respect that.
And also, I was going to say to you, it's like, for me, it's like race. It's like any justice issue. I see it as an injustice, the animals, the way we treat them, and the way we kill them. So I'm not racist or homophobic or any of those things, and I wouldn't think now and again it would be okay to, be okay on a Saturday afternoon to be racist for a little bit, So does that make sense to you? Yeah. So I am fundamentally against the treatment of animals on the industrial scale we do. So for me personally, I remove myself from it and say I'm not cool with that, and I'm not going to take part in that.
I do respect that. I really do. I think it is really difficult in a society that's predominantly consuming animals and animal products, and everything is nothing, like things are not designed to be, I guess, accommodating for vegans and accommodating for people that don't want to consume.
And we're bombarded by advertising. Every street corner's got KFC and McDonald's. You're taught from a very young age you have to consume these products, that they're good for you. You're not going to survive. You'll be protein deficient, you'll be calcium deficient, and all these things. And me personally, as I'm an animal rights activist, so I don't just do street conversations, I do other stuff as well. I've been on farms and filmed the conditions. I go to slaughterhouses and do vigils with animals before they go to their death. And most people are either supportive or understand why I'm doing it, but there's a small part of society that I take a lot of hatred from people for that. You know?
I'm sure you do. People hate vegans.
You know, would I call myself a pushy vegan? I don't know. I am fundamental. Like I am straight across the board. Like all animal use and abuse is a no for me. But I don't believe that coming onto the street and pointing fingers at people and shouting at people does any use whatsoever. If I was pointing fingers at you now and accusing you of this, that and the other, then you immediately the person just puts their defences up. I mean, we can have a conversation, and all I can do is ask people to consider that when you make the choices, well, at the end of the line on that choice, somebody lost their life, somebody suffered terribly, and like, even I don't know what your father's or your parents' farm was like when you were young, but most farms, you know, I'm in dairy farms quite regularly, as well as beef farms, and you see the cows at the minute, they're all inside standing in their own shit, freezing cold barns. None of them are in fields at the minute, and they just stand there day after day after day until they're let out in the fields for a short time. And then what do they get now? Like, used to be 18 months for a beef cow. It's now down there saying 12 to 14 months is the optimal time to kill them, maximum profit.
Oh yeah, I know. I do think that it's a myth. The humane consumption of animals is a myth. I do. Like, I know I've been worn down by kind of how, I suppose, alternative it is to be vegan. You know,
it's more popular now, but I know loads of vegans, and there's a large amount of people either eating plant-based or cutting down on their consumption, or completely vegan like I am. So there's more and more people doing it. It's more socially acceptable to be vegan now. For me, I just say to people, like, I am anti-animal cruelty, that's it. More than I am vegan. Does that make sense? So I'm against animal. People say, why are you vegan? I'm vegan because I'm against what happens to animals.
I suppose, like, I'm anti-animal cruelty, but I'm also like anti, environmental destruction. People denying human rights as well, and I think it's just that.
I'm exactly the same, by the way. I mean, animal agriculture is the number one driver of climate change.
I know it is. Yeah, well, one of them. I guess it's just that
so many ethical choices in the world. There's so many issues and so many problems. There's so many
issues that sometimes being evangelical about the cause of veganism and then buying, say, shoes in Primark that are made in a really unethical means because they're not contributing to animal cruelty, that to me is problematic. And
throwaway fashion is a massive problem.
I mean, I actually nearly care about that more than animal rights, because I think that one's even easier to stop.
I do buy the odd bits and pieces of clothing now, but anybody who knows me will tell you I wear the same clothes until they wear out. I think throwaway fashion is terrible. Really bad. Huge problem, for sure.
So do I, and all of my clothes are secondhand, but like 90% of my clothes are secondhand. But I guess I don't know what point I'm trying to make, and I'm very conscious about there being a camera there, so I'm finding it hard to actually speak.
I'll let you go. For me, it's always, what it boils down to is I get the environment, the earth suffers too, for sure.
That if being fundamental about being vegan can mean that you're turning a blind eye to other injustices and other types of cruelty, whether that be human rights or like buying maybe chickpeas from, I don't know where chickpeas come from. Wherever they come from, rather than maybe eating some local, I don't know, fish or something. And I know maybe fish is not a great example.
With animals, I don't think there is a good example. I mean, we're trashing the oceans as well. We're 3 trillion fish a year.
I guess it's just that, like, I do think that it is possible that the vegan option is not always the most ethical option, because yes, you might be eliminating animal cruelty, but you might be contributing to either environmental destruction or human, like, that's the word I'm looking for.
I get you, but
do you know what I mean? And I think that's why I don't want to be so fundamentalist about being vegan anymore, because if I go to somebody's house and they've made a vegetarian lasagna and then they're like, oh, she can't eat this because she's vegan, and then I go and buy a packet of falafels in Spar and it's packaged and they've come from Morocco and they've been packaged in this like sealed vacuum packed plastic thing, that's creating more waste, it's creating more plastic consumption, and it's after being shipped from Morocco. So if I had just eaten the lasagna that my friend made, then no more animals got harmed.
Well, they did. Somebody definitely got harmed. They definitely had their throat cut at some point.
No, yes, so if there's cheese, there's cheddar cheese on it, some dairy cows, yes, they have been hurt alongside this process. But at this dinner party where I'm eating this lasagna, if I go and get myself some falafels, as I said, from the shop that are in a plastic package, I think I'm causing more harm. That's what I think.
I'm going to strongly disagree, because the animal products also come in the same plastic, but non-vegan products come in as well.
If it's a lasagna made from scratch, it's already been made.
But you can make a lasagna and just use like chickpeas or lentils in it instead.
Oh, I know you can, but if your friends didn't, because
but you could just say, make me a vegan lasagna with lentils. Don't use mince, use lentils instead, and then you're sweet.
I know, but I wouldn't dictate that to my friends. Do you know what I mean?
But then somebody's dying. Then somebody's dying.
I know, but it's like, that's like...
You're taking somebody's life away for a lasagna when you can just eat something else.
I'm not taking somebody else's life away. Like,
well, they have.
They have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
on your behalf.
Well, it's on their behalf. I just don't think it helps anybody if I protest. And I know, as we said,
well, that's like saying,
is valid.
Well, okay, let me put it this way to you. You go to a friend's house and they're being racist and homophobic.
Fair.
You could take part in those racist and homophobic jokes, or you could say, folks, I'm not cool with you being racist or homophobic. So it's the same thing when you go to their house and go, I'm not cool with you harming animals, so I'm not taking any part in it. It's the same. I don't see how that's any different whatsoever. You just say up front, I'm not coming to your house if you're going to be racist.
Yeah, that is a good argument. I accept that. Fair, I do. Yeah, I do. No, I think that is a good argument. I think it's just I'm not trying to like counter argue with you, but
can I give you a card before you go?
Yeah, sure.
I'll give you a card anyway.
But yeah, it's just